President von der Leyen, thank you so much for speaking to Bloomberg. What does Europe really want in terms of peace in Libya? Do we have a peace deal? Is there something that we want, or are we just wishing for peace?
Well, the conference yesterday in Berlin was certainly an important step forward, because we had around the table not only the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, but also the 3 unions, the Arab League, the African Union and the European Union, and other crucial players. And they all agreed to keep the ceasefire, to go into a process where we have the 5-to-5 military committee negotiations, and to have a structured process to work for reconciliation, reconstruction, and finding a political solution.
For Europe to have a bigger voice, is it time that Europe gets an army?
The European Union started to build up the European Defence Union, and the armed forces are put together by the member states. But of course it is important to have a lot of interoperability between the different armed forces, to have a common system of procurement, which we're building up now. And the European Union needs to have hard power, but always together with diplomacy and crisis prevention. So only that together is comprehensive security.
What are you expecting from President Trump tomorrow, who addresses the World Economic Forum?
Well, I'm very curious and eager to listen to him. It's good that he's coming. It's good to be in a dialogue. That's what Davos is there for. And of course, I'm interested to listen to the trade topics, but also to the technology topics. So I'm just curious to hear.
Do you worry that there could be tariffs levied against France and Germany and the European Union as a whole from the US?
Well, I think the first thing is to listen to each other and then to sit down and to negotiate, what we certainly will do. We have so much in common, and there are so many fields where we should work together to improve things, that I think it is important not only to talk about the trade topics, but also about the topics where we have common interest.
Where do you see the next relationship between the UK and the EU headed? Again, today we heard from the Prime Minister that he won't be dictated by EU rules.
Of course he will not, because we're going now into negotiations. The UK will be a third country. Of course there is a difference between being a member state and having complete access to the single market, or being a third country. We have to negotiate our relationship. But we're friends, we're partners. We share so much experience, geography and history. So we know that we want to have an excellent relationship together.
But President, do you worry about not having a level playing field when it comes to regulation between the UK and the EU?
Yeah, well, it's a matter of the UK's choice to decide. The more they align, the easier the access to the largest single market we have in the world. The more they distance themselves, the more barriers will be there. This is a matter of negotiations we're going into now.
But for the moment, the tone of these negotiations or the tones of the talk are fruitful, or are they antagonistic?
Yes, we want to build up a very strong relationship together. As I said, of course, there's the question, how close to the single market will the UK be or not? This is what we have to figure out in the negotiations.
President, talk to me about this new Green Deal that the EU has put in place. The critics say that there's not enough new money coming in. Would you respond to that?
There's a lot of new money coming in. There will be European money, there will be national co-founding, there will be private money, and a lot of leveraging by the European Investment Bank, that is our climate bank. So that's a huge amount of money that will unleash a green wave, because we want to invest in clean technology, in green new procedures, and we know there's a lot of innovation behind it that we need to really to step forward with the European Green Deal.
What sectors will benefit from this specifically?
A lot of sectors. We have 2 parts. The one is innovation, so research, science, deeply involved. But of course, the small and medium enterprises and the industry, because they are the ones who have to go through the transition, and for the people, because we do not want to leave anybody behind. We have the Just Transition Fund for those regions, for example, coal mining regions, that have to go through a deep transformation. There we will have a lot of support to help them to step up to cleaner industries.
President, final question. What's your biggest concern for Europe? Now that we have US-China trade, how much is that helpful for European growth?
Well, it's good that there is a US-China agreement, so this is very positive. And I think that for us it's important to figure out the investment agreement with China that we're working on to go into this year, but also to have a very close and fruitful conversation with the United States where a common field is and where we have to sort out things.
Is the US your hardest relationship to manage since you've taken charge?
The United States are our friends, and there's a deep and solid foundation built over at least 70 years of friendship, of cultural exchange, of research exchange, students. So we should never forget about that. I know on what side of the table I am sitting, and this is the side where the United States are sitting too. But of course we have issues and we have to solve them.
What do you want from participants here at the World Economic Forum?
Excuse me?
What do you want here from participants at the World Economic Forum?
Engage in a deep dialogue on how we're going to build a more sustainable economy, because climate change is sitting at the table.
And you feel it, that companies are engaged, that countries want a difference?
When you look at the World Economic Forum Global Risk Report, I mean, the 5 top risks for the economy are all climate related. So, and you see other signs, like McKinsey report that came out this week too. It shows very clearly we have to step up. It's a huge opportunity for the industry in the European Union to be front runner. So we'll invest in this, but the climate needs it.
President, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.